Kent, we got a really good agenda today, so I'll let you open it up with any thoughts or comments. We can jump into the agenda.
I guess
we have ORLs, what they're for, and how do we tell the world what an ORL is, what a data set is labeled. So Dave Jones and I put some energy into this, and this is really more of a labeling visual discussion, but I wanted to first pull up what we did was we took the GeoCollaborate dashboard and made some enhancements. So Dave, I'm going to let you kind of brief the group on the banner down at the bottom, okay, and then the ORL piece here. What I want to show you though, before we jump into that, we're using this graphic that shows the 4 different levels and 4 different colors, if you will. And the idea is for us to take the GeoCollaborate dashboard and then assign labels, as you can see on the screen. If you're on the slide 7, I believe, if you have slides in front of you, if you can see how we've put the ORL indication in the labeling area, which I think works fine for now, and we'll pull up the live website to get that. And then on the App Store, we're actually going to put an ORL rating under each of the apps, and if you hover over the ORL, you'll see data available now, whatever the message we want to make it become. It's pretty cool. So Dave, let me pull up the GeoCollaborate site and have you talk to this for a minute about the banner and then kind of the ORL rating, the ORL labeling and rating process. Go ahead.
Yeah, that sounds good, Tom. And also, just click reload dashboard there for a second, so you can get the update. It's all been updated on the 20th, which is today. So you'll see the 20th reflected there. The ORL approach that we're taking, we're starting to assign ORL levels to some of the operational data sets that we know are indeed operational. And so on the left-hand side, Tom's brought up the dashboard, and you can see after the name of the product on the left-hand side, we'll start at the upper left-hand side, which is 48-hour rainfall forecast from the Weather Prediction Center. That's an ORL1 because they update that several times a day with their products. And you'll see that in the labeling on the left-hand side. So the real-time weather radar, and as a matter of fact, Tom, there's also are debuting a new banner. Once Tom zooms out later, I'll show you the banner. But real-time weather radar data. Oh, there you go. Very good, Tom. So we have a new banner at the bottom that says All Hazards Consortium Real-Time Trusted Data Dashboard from the Sensitive Information Sharing Environment. And we have the operational green, no activity, just meaning, and we'll need input from everybody here on what you would like that right-hand banner to say, because there is as a matter of fact, I am logged in to the lead right now, and I want to go in and just display the other banner. I think we have that.
Hey, Dave. Dave, you want me to make you presenter?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead. That's fine.
That way you can drive. Okay, you got it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks. Let me drag my.
So while Dave's pulling that up, what I wanted to do today was to show you some visuals and discuss. Okay, is it simple? Is it understandable? Do we need to change the layout? I want to have a discussion on the visual labeling of how we're telling people, hey, we've got a dashboard banner that's going to tell us red, yellow, green, and then we're assigning ORLs to this, to the data set. So go ahead, Dave.
Hey, Tom, do you see the map?
I see your Word document.
Word document, okay. I just need to switch over to my other screen here. I'll just drag my stuff over. Worries.
I see your computer, but there we go. It's coming in now.
Okay. So we created 3 banners just to let everybody know when we're in certain situations. The one I just brought up here is real-time trusted data dashboard operational. There's active support going on, which is red. The other banner that we had displayed was the green banner, which is no activity, which is kind of like a there you go right there. operational no activity, just meaning there's no movement of fleets. If you would like this to say something else, just let us know, and we'll make sure that the banner is completely straightforward.
Hey, Dave, let me pause for a minute for those that are not on the webinar. So we're on slide 6, folks, and we're talking about the banner at the bottom, which has the blue banner for the consortium, and then the operational color banners, which we have 3 colors, right? So one is operational, it's kind of red, yellow, green. We're talking about how we do. But the idea there is to show people, hey, if we're activated, we want people to see and know we are activated, and that's what the operational color banner is going to do. So, any questions or comments about that? Is that a good idea? Give me your thoughts on that one.
I really do like the idea of having a very visual and very obvious graphic that shows what the status of the board is. Thinking through colors, and is red, yellow, green send the right message based on what people typically think of as far as red, yellow, and green.
Right.
Hey Tom, hey Mike Magnus, what's gonna be the thresholds for red, yellow, green?
So, Mike, that is the parking lot issue that we have to spend some time on. We've gone a couple of different ways on that. We've got a bunch of new folks onto the SISE committee now. We need to go back and nail that down. But in the past, just for people to know, we activated this dashboard when any of the regional mutual assistance groups contacted the consortium saying, hey, we need help moving fleets. That's when this went active. So it was really triggered.
Okay.
It was really triggered by the RMAGs, Mike. And that's the process we need to improve, as you know. But today, that's what triggers it now. Okay.
Okay.
And primarily because the electric sector was our first, pilot sector. If we do a dashboard for, health or comms or rail or whatever, that may change. But for now, that's kind of how this is. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, no, you did.
Okay, go ahead, Dave.
Okay, and for those of you that can see the webinar screen, I'm just turning on. We do have a yellow one that says operational developing situation. That could be something where a developing weather hazard is happening, where there's more information in the key points on the left-hand side when you're doing the follow. I have the dashboard up as well, and if I click reload on the dashboard right now, you'll see the banner that I just displayed, the operational banner. My internet connection is a little bit slow, but it's loading up. And so the developing operational situation could be something that the SISE working group decides on those thresholds and says, hey, look, if there's a watch, or if there is an indication of a hurricane watch being issued along the coastline, maybe we should have that developing situation put on, or maybe that becomes red when there are watches and warnings issued. So these are all things that we can certainly talk about, as Tom indicated. Right now it's green, operational, no activity, but the weather alerts, the watches and warnings that are issued by the National Weather Service display along with the real-time traffic. But
Dave, I do know here. I have a quick question. Some of this may be able to be automated, but in the long run, this is going to be a manual. Someone has to get in and change the colors, I would assume, based on, let's say, an RMAG activates or something like that.
That's right, Jim, and we're a part of the email traffic, and Tom and I talk about things when situations are developing, so we can remain ahead of the curve on the dashboard and making sure that it's updated. But yeah, right now it is manual, and certainly once processes, standards, and procedures get put in place that are agreed upon by everybody, we can certainly automate certain parts of the dashboard.
Yeah. Yeah, Jim, our hope is to someday link this to the ramp-up tool, right? So that we can be notified when there's RMAG activity, not to publish that, but just we can be on standby. But ultimately, we want to automate as much as we can. I mean, it's just it's time and resource. That's all it is at the moment. So, and process. We have to nail that down. And Dave, can you show the other color? You had red, you had yellow. You had green, red, and yellow, right? Can you show the red one? Real
Sure.
quick? There we go.
Okay, so there's the red one. Says operational active support. The All Hazards Consortium logo and the banner remains the same. We have a lot of flexibility in what you would like this banner to say. So whatever we decide upon can be made pretty quickly and then launched with the dashboard.
Good.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to go back. I'll go back here to the what Tom was showing here. This is actually 1SO, Tom, that I have up. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, okay, so this is the 1SO dashboard. You can see on the left-hand side here, Weather Service Weather Radar. You can turn that on. Once you turn that on, the weather radar data shows up. It's ORL1. This data is updated every 6 to 11 minutes from the National Weather Service. And many of these National Weather Service data sets are labeled as ORL1. Now, as we go through the process of re-verifying and checking some of the status and situation of Weather Service products that are updated, or whether they have, even if they're an ORL1, they could still have problems with the updates every once in a while if they have comms issues or whatever. But, Carrie and Karen and I and others on the committee can go through, and, Carrie might say, hey, I put this river flood forecast through our criteria, and it's really an ORL2, and so we can change it to ORL2. This is the initial labeling of Weather Service data sets, which primarily are ORL1. Now, the national live traffic data is ORL2, just because we need to dive in a little bit more about the processes that they use to update that traffic information, but it's good enough and it's operational enough. When you zoom in on the dashboard, the traffic starts showing up. Once you pass a threshold of zooming in, of course, it's turned on, so it'll start to grab that traffic information. There it is. And so it's live. So once we understand a little bit more about the data set itself and how it's updated with the partners that are putting information in here, including Esri and Waze and Google, then we could pretty much make that an ORL1 once we're satisfied.
Yeah.
Just going down the line, most of the Weather Service data sets here, again, are ORL1. The Weather Service current weather graphic is one that I haven't labeled yet because I'm still testing it with some of the data sets that are updated by the Weather Prediction Center. You can see I turned it on, current weather, and we don't see anything quite yet. So I haven't labeled it. Some of these others are going through the testing process and all that stuff. But the main thing is, this is how we're looking at labeling the ORL levels. Yeah. And that is right next to the name of the product. Eventually, down the road, we would love to standardize the names of these products. For example, we're taking up space with NWS here. Is that important? How do we want to communicate river flood forecast? Right now, we write it out because people who are looking at the dashboard won't know what it means otherwise. So that kind of input will be sought in the future with the naming of the products, and we'll just evolve it as we go forward.
Hey,
but bottom
Dave.
line is the ORL levels here on the left-hand side.
Hey, Dave, let's so we'll have another discussion around why we pick an ORL 1 or 2 for a set. Let's go down to some of I want to have a discussion on the resource data, because this is something that's going to get a lot of activity. I don't know if you have it here. Let's pick hospitals down at the bottom. Mm-hmm. All right. So we started with hospitals, which is just a lot of stationary data, and this is what I would like to talk about, Carrie, with the group. Is we started with, okay, we think we know the data provider. Okay, it's public sourced information, not sensitive, but we don't know if that data is backed up. We don't have a contact point, So we just picked. It's okay. So it looks like it probably is a ORL2. What are I'm just looking for support or comments on methodology of why we picked that data. It's stagnant. We don't know the author. We know it's there. We don't know if it can be hacked or backed up or like that. So is 2 the right one? It should be a 3. I wanted to get some discussion going on that because we're going to have a lot of these. Carrie, let me start with you. Okay, we may have lost Carrie. All right.
Yeah.
Let me.
You know,
Go ahead, Ken.
you know, I think, and I think we've got all the information, but we probably need to have that kind of one-page summary of the ORL definitions and have a team where a couple of people look at each of the data sources and kind of give us is that the right ORL, or do we need to make adjustments?
Yeah, and we have a draft of that. This could chew up years of discussion, right? So I just took the ball and said, all right, let's see if we can assign at least a 1, 2, 3, or 4 to some preliminary ones, then discuss the labeling and so forth. But you're right. I think this is going to take a little more time. Clearly, this data is.
I totally.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that as well, Tom. You know, we could spend hours and hours, debating the, 2 versus 3 or 3 versus 4. If we put a place for the different levels, and we should give us the ability to go through and relatively quickly compare what we know about the data to the ORL levels and tag them pretty quickly. And as time goes on, we can always refine and change based on experiences using the data, or if additional information about the data source becomes available.
Okay. So thank you, Kent. Any other comments on this?
This is Gail. I was just looking at the ORL, the key, the legend that kind of tells you the definitions for each of the categories.
Yeah.
And for ORL 2, it does say person available to contact. So if you're saying that you don't know the author and you don't know when it's backed up, does that meet that criteria?
Yes, that's a great point. It does not, Gail. You're right. I just picked 2 because I didn't have. We're talking about slide 5 for those of you who have the packet. Dave, we probably need to go back through that because this was our best thumb in the wind kind of thing. And Gail's right. Technically, the way this is defined, the hospital data set, the dry ice, the generators, we'd have to make sure if they're a person to contact or not on the data set. That's a great point, Gail. Thank you.
Yeah, and Tom, this is Dave. I think too the process that Carrie is putting together as well. We'll take each one of these data sets and go through that process, and then it will spit out a recommended ORL level.
Perfect.
So I think that's something that's going to really, that might be the first swipe we want to go through, and we put these data sets through it, and then say, here's what the algorithm came out with, and here's what we're assigning. And if anybody wants to challenge anything, then they just say, hey, I really think that's a 2, not a 3 because of this.
Yeah.
When I click on the hospital here, and it gives us, information about the hospital. There is more information that can be put in there, but it's just not included in that metadata.
Yeah.
So we need to continue to look at that and make sure that all that information is included. Otherwise, it gets a lower ORL level.
So, and I think, go ahead.
This is David. I think the other thing you need to think about when you're putting these ORL levels on it is how inclusive and up-to-date is the data, because, if you're thinking about using these things for operational decisions and you say it's ORL 1, there's somebody to contact, but it's not up-to-date or real-time, or, just for hospitals, for example, there may be 1, 2, 3 that are missing that may be closer to where I just need to think through all of that before you. One means it's accurate, up to date, and if I make a decision, it's the right decision.
Yeah. So Dave, you brought up a very good point. Dave Jones, for you and Karen and Carrie, you know, one of the questions that came at this from a non-scientific standpoint was, and actually, I got to give Tom Farmer credit for this one. He said, Tom, we don't know if it's reliable or not. We just want to know if it's timely and actionable. And I thought, timely and actionable, that's an interesting criteria, right? So we know these hospitals are not going to move. So chances are this data is pretty reliable for hospitals, right? And is it actionable? And we can integrate that into our thinking, but I think you're right. We can use Carrie's web protocol to run everything through that garden and come out with at least a draft. Thank you, Dave. That's a very good point.
Sure. And the last thing that I'll add about that, Tom, is that one other piece of information that would make this more actionable and timely is whether the hospital is open, whether they're accepting emergency patients, whether they're, things like that. That'll come as we move down the road with this approach, but that's something else that'll make this data set very, very important.
Okay. Very good. Okay, Dave Jones, I just turned it back over to you. Anything else you need to cover?
No, I don't think so. I'll throw the screen back to you, Tom.
Okay. So what we wanted, hang on a second, I'll pull the...
Hey, Tom, while you're making or shifting, quick reminder for myself. Will the bias be to give things a lower or a higher ORL level if it's on the fence?
Great question.
This is Dave. Ken, I would think lower, not a higher.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well, and I think it's just something that, if we all are aligned around that, it'll help make the review and ORL assignment process a little easier for everyone as well.
So Ken, this could be a great workshop topic, right, where we spend collectively an hour or 90 minutes or so on this topic. I don't think we're going to do that on the phone.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, I made a note. Okay, let me go back to the agenda. So for today, we just wanted to have a discussion on the labeling, the visual nature of it, an initial assignment. Carrie, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that.
That's okay. So Carrie, what Dave suggested was once you have your tool ready, we can spend, maybe at our next workshop, use your tool as kind of the labeling mechanism. Run data into it and let it assign a basic ORL number. I think now we have a standard process we can use, which I love. So Dave and I did this today, just quick, fast, so we know we're close, but we're not there yet. So.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we can even use what we have now, that site. Obviously, there's changes that need to be made eventually, but
yeah.
If that's something you wanted to do next week.
Actually, next week could be fine. I didn't want to rush you guys, but I think if we could run a couple of, we got three kinds of data sets. We got federal data. I'll call it federal data from known sources, right? We have crowdsourced data, which can be from public sources, website databases, things like that, or whatever. And then we have private sector data that we know the source and we know it's their data. So we just have to categorize these and then pick one and run through them. I think this could be pretty fast. So, okay.
Yeah.
All right, let me show you guys how we're going to do this in the App Store. So I pulled up on the screen now. You guys don't have this in front of you now. If you're not on the webinar, I pulled up a screen. I just wanted to show you within the App Store, we're going to be labeling using a little, if you can zoom in and see it. For those of you that aren't on the webinar, go to slide, well, let's see, I added a few. Right now, probably it says ORL labeling on SISE App Store. Okay? So I have it up on the screen now. Each icon will have a little ORL, and the colors will match, Dave, the chart that we provided with the ORL chevrons, right? I think it was slide 6. So what we've done is just put a little ORL. If you hover over it on the web, the window pops up. I'll show you live now. So if I go here and pick on the radar data, data available now, situation where it's decision making, where we'll come up with whatever the label is. But we're going to label each of the App Store products or data sets as best as we can, because we do have apps that people want to know, are they reliable? I don't have a process for that yet. So, but the idea is to show people visually an indication of what am I looking at, and is it ready? Is it ready to go? So, let me pull up another one here. Government dashboards. Okay, so you can see on the government dashboard site, we rated all them as a 1. Don't know why. We just picked 1. Okay, so you can see under each one of the icons, you'll see an ORL label that says here's how we've labeled it. Let me go to another one here that would be of. So here's a good one. This global maritime app, private sector data. We do not know. We got it from DHS at the NIC, the National Infrastructure Coordination Center. They use it. We assigned it a 2 based on what we didn't know. And of course, it's a live maritime. I'll pull it up now. It's a live maritime website that tracks, ship movements all over the world. Okay, so you can see as the screen populates, you'll see kind of this data set. This is the free version. If we hover over a ship, you can see it's a tanker and so forth. But if you get the paid version, it is a ton more data. It's amazing what they will put out there. This is managed by a private sector group. One point I'll notice, if you look at the top of the screen, we now track through the SISE, for security reasons, we have the ability to keep our banner on top of all these windows, okay? So this allows us to determine if there are any security links from that third-party website. It's pretty cool. We learned about this from one of our university partners, and we've used that. It was provided to us to plug in and see how it worked. And if I want to go back to the dashboard, I just click on go back to the dashboard here. So that banner will stay across. If someone comes into the SISE and goes to a third-party site, that banner will stay across the top of that web page as long as that browser's open. Okay? So anyway, that's how it will look. Let me pause and ask for comments about the labeling on the App Store. Simple, understandable. We were just trying to do it so that it would be easy to figure out. People know what ORL means. So.
Yeah, Tom, this is Dave. I think it's a good approach. I think when you talk about the different dashboards and if there are multiple products in there, it's going to be interesting to see how some of them can be labeled. And we'll have to go through that process of indeed if there are people to call or whatever. If this satisfies the algorithm that Carrie's working on with the or evolving that we're doing through that process, then it will. The main concern that I have is just making sure that people identify ORL levels with data and not particular apps, right? So we need to refine that.
Well, yeah. And
otherwise, it's a good approach.
We're gonna have to have something. Maybe we don't call it ORL. We're gonna have something, Dave, that ranks apps because there's too many of them to ignore. Maybe we have to come up with a different name or a different process for it, but I can tell you, I get a lot of them, and they're being used, and I'm not sure the best way to do it. I think we have a methodology. I don't know if we make a new one or combine. I don't know how we do it, but anyway, I agree with what you're saying because data is a lot more detailed than what we have here. So.
Yeah, maybe it's some sort of app readiness level for operations or something, but then you're diving into the effectiveness of the product, and you're going to have to dive into how that product processes data, which people may want to or may not want to answer those questions if they're a product producer.
Yeah, no. Well, and maybe we just crowdsource it. I'm not sure the best way to do it, but at any rate, that's another discussion. So for today, I just wanted to make sure we went over the. We went over those items. so we can at least have a discussion on the labeling. Next item up is our agenda for next week. Today, you all will receive the final agenda. Have it up on the screen now. We will have remote dial-in for our work groups and speakers. On the top of the agenda, which I will send to you, there's a remote speaker morning session, and there's a remote speaker afternoon session webinar. 2 different links, 2 different call-in numbers. So if you want to call and listen in, we will be recording, and you'll dial in as listen only. But Dave, are you planning to come up next week, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'll be there on. So will Tom Weibel.
Okay.
We'll be there on. Was it Tuesday? The meeting Tuesday and Wednesday, or it's Monday and Tuesday?
It's Tuesday, all day, and
Meeting
we're at
Tuesday. So we'll be up Monday afternoon,
Yeah.
and then all day Tuesday.
we're still pending something informal Monday afternoon. Stay tuned to hopefully get that locked down today.
Yeah. And the one question, Tom, I had about the agenda is, there's been a lot of discussion in the telecons over the last several weeks about sharing data from counties so state EOCs can see them, or sharing data from states to other states. If there's an opportunity during a break or something, I can demonstrate that capability using GeoCollaborate if it makes sense.
Let's see how the timing goes on this, Dave. I'm not against that at all. Certainly, let's see how the timing goes. I think at the right now we may have time we only have 1 break. 2. We have a morning break and then lunch, and then we're done at 3. So
Yeah.
let's see if we can put it in there.
Yeah.
I've got a number of videos that the electric sector wants to show. So it's right now the flight pattern's filling up pretty full. But anyway,
Yeah.
I like the idea. And if not, we can do a webinar. I mean, you can do a detailed webinar on it really quick and send that out as well. So, okay.
Sure.
So we'll start the continental breakfast at 7:30 on Tuesday. 8 o'clock we'll have opening remarks. 8:30 we'll have comments from our new board members: Chris Eisenbray, Kelly McKinney from the health sector, and Bud Mertz from the local county government health sector. Chris Eisenbray's with the electric sector certainly though. And then we'll get into our big panel, which is really focused on the electric sector, and kind of the after actions from 2017. Ken is going to be in there as well. We have telecom, and we have the APPA, which is the municipal power companies across the U.S. So we've got a good cross section of telecom, electric, and then we'll have our break. We'll go into a lightning round where we're just going to talk about 3 operational issues. Ed Schwartz is coming up from Florida Power and Light, talking about how they use drones during the storms. Jeff Thomas from PEMA is going to talk about their policy for drone mutual assistance agreements and their new private sector integration program, where they want to leverage the SISE fleet work group model into the Commonwealth for businesses in Pennsylvania. Kent is going to talk about the SISE during that round, and then we'll jump right into our next coordination session amongst states. So we'll have Pennsylvania, Florida, North Carolina, North Carolina, Maryland, and FEMA private sector office. Rob Glenn will be dialing in for that one. At 12:45, we'll have lunch. At 12:45, then we'll have our next panel for information sharing, and then we'll do our last panel on the ORLs at 2 o'clock. So the timing of this may slip a little bit based on schedules, but anyway, I'll send this out. This is the rough draft, pretty final. I think at the end of the day, this will be the final timing and everything else on that. So be looking for that later on today. So for those of you who are planning to come, we'll see you guys up there on Tuesday. That's it.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
I just have one quick point. Can you scroll back on the agenda just for a second to show the hurricane section? Yeah, the post hurricanes discussion. So maybe in your comments after this is done, before we go to the break, we're working on coordinating a one-day workshop at the National Hurricane Center. So the Hurricane Center, and I've been where as you know, I think the Hurricane Center just announced a new director. When Rick Knabb left to go to the Weather Channel, they just announced Ken Graham, who is the meteorologist in charge for the New Orleans office out of Slidell, Louisiana. He's now the new director of the Hurricane Center. He's very interested in working with us to put this one-day workshop together to bring members of SISE and the Fleet Response Working Group, down to the Hurricane Center for a day to understand how the Hurricane Center makes their products, how they communicate uncertainty, and then they really want to get input from those attendees into what else should the Hurricane Center think about when they're producing products to make it more impactful and useful for a decision-making environment such as the Fleet Response Working Group and the SISE.
Excellent. Okay. Dave,
So it looks like it's going to slip into June a little bit, maybe the first or second week in June.
Yeah.
But this could be a major, outcome of this particular session, where the Hurricane Center is putting this. This is the first time that they've ever put together a workshop involving the private sector and this kind of group.
Great. Okay. Very good. Yeah, we could make an announcement, something like that would be great. So.
Okay.
Yeah, quick recommendation. If you're thinking about June, probably need to try and lock down dates soon so you can start to get the word out. I know my calendar is starting to get fuller for June already, and I'm sure many others are in the same boat. Just a thought.
Very good. Absolutely. And the reason why it's slipping a little bit is because the Hurricane Center is doing so many FEMA workshops and state EOC workshops and going on their hurricane tour and all that stuff. So we're kind of at their mercy just a little bit, but that's an excellent point, Ken.
Yeah, and you got to also keep in mind that April, May, and June is typically a big time where a lot of private sector we're doing annual preparedness exercises and stuff like that, and some of us have deadlines. They have to be completed either by June 1 or by June 30. So it's a tough time of the year for many of us.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and also I think we're going to try to have this as a live webinar too. But for those who can make it down to the Hurricane Center to meet the new director and to understand how they put the products together, it's something that people are going to decide, hey, I want to be down there for this one-day thing, and then go right back.
And this is Jim Nowak. I think June, as everybody mentioned, a busy month, but it's also the start of the hurricane season. So going there in June, we may see them on a little bit more higher alert or some products that they only generate during that time.
Yeah, good point, Jim. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Good. So let me just go around the horn for questions or comments, items to cover, so forth. So I'll start with you, Jim. Any updates or anything for the good of the order?
I'm sorry, Tom. You were saying that to me?
Yeah. I'm just going to invite everybody to provide comment. I know Arcos.
The only thing.
Go ahead.
The only thing I'll say is I'm sorry I'm going to miss next week a prior conflict. We are going to have some Arcos representatives there, and I've made every one since we started, I think 6 years ago or something like that, and this one looks like a real good one, as they all have been, and I'm sorry I'm going to miss it.
Well, we'll miss you, Jim. Hey, Jim, do me a favor. I haven't heard anybody from Arcos who's going to speak or slides or anything. Could you follow up on that for me? I just need to get them. I need to get them on the agenda like immediately. I don't have any names for it.
I will do. I know the two people going. I'll find out which one's going to talk.
Okay, perfect. I just want to be respectful and have it on the agenda if we can. If not, that's okay. I'll have them on a slide when they're speaking. I just wanted to have it on the agenda if I can. Thank you.
I'll send you the names, and then you can at least have them on there. And if only one of them talks, it doesn't matter, I guess.
That's fine. That's fine too. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Very good. Claire, any comments or items to discuss for the future? Okay. Alexandra?
No comments from here, thank you.
Okay. Tom Fusting? Okay. Carrie?
Nothing from me, except I will be flying in on Monday, so I look forward to hanging out and talking ORL.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, very good. Dave Vanderbloemen.
Tom. Thanks. That's a great presentation. A lot of positive momentum. I, like Jim, I apologize. It'll be the first one I've missed in a while, too. But anything I can do from the side to help out, just let me know.
Awesome. Okay, great. Thanks, Dave. Gail?
Nope, I'm good. I'll be there on Tuesday, so look forward to seeing everyone.
Very good. Thank you. Jeff Plackus?
Yeah, I'm going to have to echo Jim and Dave's comments. Unfortunately, I too am going to be missing next week. I think it's the first one in at least 4 years that I haven't been able to attend. We start our operational exercises next Tuesday, and I'm lead facilitator, so I kind of have to be here for that. So sorry about that.
Well, the good news is we got pushed out this year. We're going to, hopefully Tuesday, we'll announce the January date for 2019. We want to get ahead of this. We were supposed to be in January every year. It's a great time to do a meeting, but with all the storms, we got pushed out. So it's bumped up against everybody's travel schedule. So anyway, thanks, Jeff.
Yep. No problem. Thank you.
Who did I miss for comment? I'm sorry, I got my list turned off here.
I think I'm the last one there, Tom.
All right.
Or somebody else?
Yeah, it's just Mike Mangus, but I have nothing to say other than I'll see everybody Tuesday.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mike.
Hey, Tom, it's Kent. I know I told you this yesterday, but just want to reiterate. I was looking at the attendee roster for Tuesday's meeting and just really impressed by the depth and breadth of experience of those who will be in attendance. Looking forward to the day. I think it's going to be some great discussions, and looking forward to seeing some of the folks here on the call face-to-face instead of just a voice coming from the ether. So I hope everyone has a great weekend, and I'll see a fair number of you next week.
Okay.
Tom?
Thank you, Kent. All right. Thank you, Kent. Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk next week.
Thank you, Tom. Take care, everybody. Thanks a lot.
Bye.